Hey Matthew, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We can go through and talk about your motion and your mechanics and, break it down frame by frame and make sure that, at a couple key spots that we look at, you're nice and balanced. You're using your lower half, using your legs. You're trying to generate as much power as you can with your lower half and just getting yourself a nice consistent spot. Deliver the ball with as much velocity as we can get you. All right, so we'll go back here to start and just kind of go through each little spot and talk about what we look at. All right, so initially, how we set up, how we start dictates a lot of how we finish. That's really one of the most important parts of the mechanics that and the motion that people don't really look at. All right, so what we want to try to see here is balance throughout that motion. All right, so you're not rushing forward, you're not getting crazy here, so you're staying balanced. The one thing that you can kind of see is you kind of do shift a little bit backwards, so just make sure that your load is over that back foot. You got about 80% left or right foot, about 20% on your left foot, so you're not shifting backwards. You're already loaded up, you got weight on the inside part of that knee, on the inside part of your heel, and you're ready to get going. All right, but very good, nice and balanced. Nice and solid, all right? The one thing that will help you is, with your mechanics, with velocity, it's all generated from the hips. All right, so the more we can kind of start this closed, the better off we're going to be. So you're getting back a little bit, but you can get a little bit more. Usually we kind of like to use that back foot as a key off. So just try to get those hips closed a little bit more to get you in a little bit better position, okay? So now that what I want you to kind of look at here is as that leg and those hands go down, you can see it looks like you just kind of sit in place. All right, so at this point, you can see you just sitting in place, body's not moving. At this spot right here, we want to see our hips start to get going. All right, so the lower half, the hips, are what's going to generate the power, and we want to try to get them going right as those hands are breaking. All right, so you can see, you're just kind of sitting over that back leg. So as this leg starts to come down, as these hands start to break, all right, you got a good timing with everything. Just get that body going sooner, all right? Just drive with that back leg, getting going forward instead of sitting over that rubber, and it's going to work wonders for you, all right? Because you can see you kind of get back, that leg gets bent a little bit. You're kind of on the heel of your foot back there. We want to be on the inside part of our foot. And you're just it's just not using a whole lot of legs. At this point at your foot strike, so right here, once that front foot first hits the ground, we should be seeing your back foot start to rotate. All right, we don't see it start to rotate up till about right here, and at that point your weight's already out over your front foot. So we want to try to see our foot at this point with our weight still back here, but our front foot isn't going to be out in front, so you're going to be getting a lot farther down the mound. Okay, so at this point here, at your foot strike, we want to try to see, that heel off the ground. That's going to get you probably another couple inches of stride length, but we just got to get that load on that knee, on that inside part, instead of on the back side of your heel. All right, you got a good upper body. Your angles are matched. Your elbow's not dropping too much. It's a little bit low. Like to see it usually, up around there to make sure you're balanced. But, it's not too bad. We just got to get you using that back leg and getting strided and extended down the mound. So then through your release point, you can see how everything kind of is sort of directed almost upwards through everything. So you can kind of see here, you're kind of coming up with the ball and throwing it. All right, we want to go from sort of throwing uphill to using that mound and throwing downhill. Okay, so how we get to that is back at this release point. All right, you can see you have a lot of space between your foot and the ground. All right, if you think about boxers, if you think about punching somebody, you're going to drive through that back foot. You're going to use all that lower half, keep 2 feet on the ground because it's more powerful. Same thing with pitching. Is we want to get our back foot still on the ground, driving out over our front foot, get an extension to use our whole body. And once you kind of get your body going, you know that foot's going to be right down here, and so it's going to be easier for that back leg to stay longer through the delivery. You know, when you're not striding as far, your back leg doesn't. It just kind of cuts off a little bit. Doesn't have that room to roll, and so now you're going to start releasing the ball from here. You know, now your hand's going to kind of follow that target up, that triangle up. Now you're going to be releasing it out here, you know, which gives you more distance releasing the ball. The hitter's going to jump on hitters more, but instead of going this way through your release point, now you're going to start going downhill. So now you're going to start adding more bite to your breaking ball. But it's just a more overall powerful position through that release. So you know, it looks like you're a big kid, nice and tall. So now it's just a matter of kind of resyncing everything up, utilizing those legs a little bit more. But the biggest thing for you is just initially get that body going, get the hips going, and everything else should come into play there. But you know, it's just so much of lower half. You know, you're cutting yourself off. You can use a whole lot more, and that's going to be key for you, especially as you get older, get stronger, to stay in those legs. So anyways, though, overall pretty good. Thanks for making it out to camp. Hopefully you had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you again with ABC.